CTV News with Matt Gilmour.
Good evening and welcome to this half-hour newscast on CJAD 800 and ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Experts are warning about a spike in fraud cases around the holidays. Every year, Canadians lose hundreds of millions of dollars to scammers. But this time of year, when people are rushed and distracted, they become more vulnerable. Here's Denise Roberts with some tips to protect yourself.
'Tis the season for scams. Each year, there's a spike in fraud during the holidays, especially those targeting shoppers, according to cybersecurity expert Terry Cutler.
That's when their guard is down because they want to get things done quickly, and they just click on stuff they're not supposed to, or get caught up in a scam.
He says fraudsters use fake websites to lure bargain hunters. They also tamper with gift cards.
They're going to put a sticker or a barcode on top of the original barcode, which links to a master gift card that the scammers paid for. So when you go to the cash and you activate it, you put $50 on it. Well, that $50 just got transferred to the scammer's MasterCard.
Cutler says recent data breaches have been a gift for criminals, giving them access to names, addresses, and passwords, information that can be used to impersonate your bank. He says to never trust call display. Banks will never ask for passwords or one-time codes over the phone. He also recommends changing your passwords often and enable two-factor authentication and alerts on your phone. Beware if anyone is demanding urgent action or clicking on links to verify your account, what's known as a phishing scam. And another sure sign that something's off.
Whenever they're asking for payments in gift cards, that's your ultimate red flag that this is a scam.
Social media is another place where scams abound.
Over the holidays, a lot of people could be lonely and they get love bombed by social media.
And don't think it can't happen to you. Cutler says he was inadvertently involved in a romance scam.
A fraudster used my photo and my kids' photos to generate a Facebook dating profile and scammed the woman of $60,000.
As fraudsters evolve, Cutler says it's important to stay on top of the latest scams, and there are online tools to protect yourself.
It really comes down to awareness.
One of the best gifts you can give yourself this season. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
Tens of thousands of residents are still without power after yesterday's strong windstorm. At its peak this morning, more than 93,000 homes and businesses were in the dark, mainly in the Estrie and Montérégie regions. The outages were caused mostly by falling tree branches knocking down power lines. Today, 400 Hydro-Quebec line workers were in the field. A grade 8 student is spreading holiday cheer one meal at a time, and she's enlisted a former Montreal Canadian to help her do it. Anastasia Dextrine has the story.
The idea was sparked by a charitable visit in 2022.
We made sandwiches and then we gave them to the homeless, and I really enjoyed doing it.
Isabella Guy decided she wanted to do more, so she began reaching out to her community. She partnered with Côte Saint Luc Barbecue to secure warm meals and raised funds at her elementary and high schools, Children's World Academy and Royal West Academy. She enlisted the help of friends and family, and soon Operation Hot Meals was born.
I've been doing this for 3 years. The past 2 years, I've been just donating to Old Brewery Mission and the Pavilions Women's Shelter. But now this year that we have so many meals, I'm donating to more people.
Through the initiative, more than 2,500 meals of chicken, sides, and dessert will go to 7 Montreal shelters this holiday season, including the Old Brewery Mission. With Montreal facing the highest concentration of homelessness in Quebec and many fighting food insecurity, Isabella is calling on others to get involved.
It's a really big problem around the world, and every meal that you can give counts.
She even got the help of former NHL player Georges Laraque.
She wrote to me in my fan mail, but what I did, since I'm on the radio every day, I asked my listeners to come and donate meals. There's so many people that is going to be able to benefit from all these meals, so that was just awesome, and I just loved it. And that young girl, what she did, hopefully I'll inspire many other kids.
And inspiring others to do good is what Isabella hopes she'll do too, as Operation Hot Meals continues to grow. Anastasia Dextrine, CTV News.
There was a holiday open house at City Hall today. The Hall of Honor is decked out in Christmas decorations. Santa Claus was there posing for family pictures, and Mayor Soraya Martinez Ferrada met and spoke with guests. Operation Nez Rouge is now in full swing. At the Montreal Command Center, they say they receive calls for about 100 rides a day. Close to 300 volunteers offer safe rides home over the holidays. Brody Flanagan is 21 years old and has been volunteering with Nez Rouge since he was 17. He says it's a huge operation and volunteers are still welcome.
We've got over 70 different operational headquarters across the province and across Canada. So it's a very large number of volunteers that are helping people stay safe every evening.
This is the 42nd year of Operation Nez Rouge. It's began on the 28th of November and will continue until New Year's Eve. Turning to international news now, the United States has seized another vessel off the coast of Venezuela in international waters. Selena Wang reports.
Tonight, sources say the U.S. Coast Guard is interdicting another sanctioned vessel in international waters off Venezuela. The operation carried out by the same type of elite tactical operations team that boarded an oil tanker 10 days ago. President Trump has ordered what he calls a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. At least 15 sanctioned tankers full of oil are floating off Venezuela and could be targeted if they enter international waters, experts say. A move that would choke Venezuela's oil exports, the lifeblood of President Maduro's regime, which President Trump is calling a foreign terrorist organization. Maduro calling the U.S. actions criminal piracy, and Maduro ally Russia saying the U.S. is now threatening international shipping in the Caribbean.
We've always expected them to provide rhetorical support for the Maduro regime.
This week, House Republicans rejected resolutions that would have forced the Trump administration to seek authorization from Congress if military action moved to Venezuelan soil.
Mr. President, will you be seeking any authorization from Congress for any land attacks on cartels in Venezuela?
For any what?
For any land attacks on drug cartels in Venezuela?
I wouldn't mind telling them, but it's not a big deal. I don't have to tell them; it's been proven. But I wouldn't mind at all.
The U.S. military has now also conducted 28 strikes on alleged drug boats, killing more than 100 people. But the administration has yet to provide any public evidence of drug smuggling. Selena Wang, ABC News, traveling with the president, Palm Beach County, Florida.
The United States has retaliated for last week's deadly attack on American personnel in Syria.
We hit the ISIS thugs in Syria who were trying to regroup.
The Trump administration launched a military strike Friday against Islamic group fighters and weapons sites in Syria. Officials say the strike hit 70 targets. The Trump administration has blamed ISIS for last Saturday's attack that killed 2 National Guard members and a civilian interpreter. Nearly 24-hour standoff in Welland, Ontario has ended with the arrest of a 59-year-old man. He's now been charged with attempted murder with further criminal charges pending. Niagara Regional Police say Daniel Tronco was arrested shortly after 7:30 a.m. this morning. Officers established a perimeter after they said he hid himself inside a church Friday morning. During the operation, one officer was hospitalized after being shot, but has since been released. Tronco was taken to hospital. A shelter-in-place order, as well as a local road closure, have since been lifted. The last federal election saw the NDP experience their worst election result ever. Now, a new internal party review looks back at what went wrong. Colton Prail has that story.
In a damning 20-page review, Canada's federal NDP is looking back at 2025 and the election that saw them lose official party status and left just 7 MPs in the House of Commons. The review, based on the feedback from party members, MPs, staffers, and volunteers, found many Canadians didn't see the party as a viable choice, which rang true for some voters.
You choose between one of the two, and if you go towards the NDP, you might be thrown away to a vote.
They weren't really independent. They were going with what the Liberals.
But more concerning for the NDP is the lack of support from working Canadians, the party's traditional base.
It goes to a segment of the population that is looking for a real solution to their real daily life problems. You need to address those first and foremost in clear and simple ways.
According to the document, respondents say part of the problem is the NDP's language was exclusionary, academic, or moralizing, while the party wasn't seen as leading on work, wages, jobs, industry, and economic security, something some argue needs to be tackled with stronger policy proposals.
A more aggressive strategy on economics than I think Mr. Carney or Mr. Poilievre are even, willing to consider.
The report also highlighted serious foundational issues for the party, especially around finances, noting the party inexplicably lacks a full-time fundraising program.
You can't just flip the switch in December and say, we're going to do a fundraising drive now. You got to work at it every day.
Party insiders say whoever wins the NDP's leadership race in March needs to focus on creating a more powerful fundraising engine and better incorporating the party's grassroots. Colton Prale, CTV News, Ottawa.
Let's take a look at the weather forecast. Currently -4 degrees in Montreal, but it feels more like -10 with the wind chill. Winter-like temperatures on this final day of fall. There is a snow squall watch in effect. Environment Canada says there's a 40% chance of heavy flurries with gusting winds up to 80 kilometers per hour and blowing snow, reducing visibility to near zero. That's going to take effect and be in effect until tomorrow morning. A mix of sun and cloud on Monday, and then Tuesday, more snow and -7. The 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan are just 2 months away. Excitement is building. The athletes are making their final preparations. And here to talk Team Canada is former Olympic champion Jennifer Heil. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And Jennifer, you're on brand. You're on a ski hill. It's been 20 years since you won gold in Turin in freestyle skiing. And now you'll be going back to Italy for another Olympics, this time as Canada's chef de mission. How are you feeling about your new role and getting to go back to an Olympic Games?
Yeah, so this is really a dream come true. I mean, it's the honor of a lifetime to be asked to lead Team Canada, to, be at the forefront of a movement that I care so deeply about, that has such a large impact on the Canadians and the world. And, I've had a lot of ups and downs, figuratively and literally, on the ski slopes. And so it's really great to be able to share that experience, support the athletes. This moment in the final build up to the games is one of the most stressful moments of any athlete's life. So really excited to be here and to be able to support them.
So for the first timers who are going to their first games, what should they expect? What will your advice be to them when you all arrive in Milan in Olympic Village?
Yeah, so for a first timer, a lot of it is about not getting swept away in the excitement of the games and just the scale and the size of the games. I mean, they'll be walking into stadiums where they'll be competing in front of, 20,000 plus people, where, that hasn't necessarily been a reality in their lives, or just, high-fiving everyone in the village or trading pins. The idea really is to go there to get the best performance and then to go and have some fun. So just conserving energy is a big part of being able to perform on demand on the big moments. So that's really the focus for first timers, and those that have been there before. It's really managing the pressure, managing the expectation. That I know very well, leading up to the 2010 Olympics, where I was a favorite and reigning champion to win gold, and it was hard to digest my food for 2 years. The stress ran that deep. So the athletes are under considerable stress. This is what they do. This is their job. They're trained to do this. But it is a very challenging moment for them in their careers and their lives.
I would imagine adding to that stress a little bit is some of these stories that we're reading about the facilities not being ready all the time. How is Team Canada feeling about that? And how are the athletes feeling about some of these delays that we're seeing?
Yeah, so I competed in Italy, where I won my gold medal, and we knew we had to be prepared for plan A, B, and C. You have to do that for pretty much any Olympic Games. So this is the same message to Canada's athletes. Yes, some of the venues may not be up to what they would want. We actually have confidence that the venues will be ready. We're seeing that with the International Hockey Federation. They've been there testing the ice. It's all on track. They're under a lot of pressure. They're feeling that pressure, which is a good good thing to get, all the venues completed and at a world-class level. But the reality is, as an athlete, it may not be there. You have to be prepared. You have to mentally and emotionally be prepared. And that's one of my big messages when we brought the athletes together in July, when I was in front of the men's and women's hockey team in August. It's let the other countries be distracted by these stories, be distracted by the venues. Let's use this as a competitive advantage to not let it, push us off our game and to stay focused. So that's what we're doing. That's what our message is to the athletes. And the Canadian Olympic Committee has spent 6 years prepping for these Olympic Games. There's, hundreds of Canadian mission staff on the ground to navigate these challenges.
You spoke about managing emotions. What is it like to pull that Team Canada uniform on? I see that you're wearing a Canada jacket right now. What is that like for an athlete to put on that maple leaf?
Yeah, look, I dreamt of becoming an Olympian when I was 9 years old. I finally got to put on that jacket with the maple leaf when I was 18. And it was one of the greatest moments of my life. Working so hard, being able to represent our country on a global stage, being able to represent a brand that means excellence. Sometimes we think excellence is a dirty word, but it really is about trying to reach your full potential, pushing yourself, embodying those values and that culture. And so personally, it's such a pleasure to put this Canadian flag back on, to be wearing this jacket as head of the mission staff. But I know, the athletes, this will be a moment they'll remember forever, getting that, Olympic outfit and marching in with Team Canada at the opening ceremonies.
All right, Jennifer Heil, 3-time Olympian, gold medalist, silver medalist, and now Team Canada's chef de mission for the 2026 Games. Thanks for this and enjoy the Games.
Thanks so much.
Today was opening day at Mont-Sainte-Anne, northeast of Quebec City, but instead of hitting the slopes, many skiers protested the mountain's management. Demonstrators say the owner's Resorts of the Canadian Rockies, or RCR, has neglected the ski hill to the point of disrepair. Last weekend, the Régie du Bâtiment ordered the closure of 4 ski lifts, and a gondola fell in 2022. Now, locals are calling on the government to terminate the Alberta-based company's management contract.
As a lover and user of this mountain all year long, it's very sad and very heartbreaking for the whole population, and all the business owners are suffering from it.
RCR has run the mountain for the past 26 years. And time now for our In Case You Missed It feature. The Montreal Children's Hospital says a years-long reorganization is finally paying off. The hospital says no young patients are waiting for more than 9 months for surgery. Christine Long has more.
Facing surgery can be scary for kids, especially if the process is long.
We're putting the patient first.
Working together, the experts at the Montreal Children's Hospital identified the obstacles to overcome in order to streamline the surgery process for patients.
The result of a teamwork, of a collaboration between specialties and between groups of staff.
Physicians, nurses, respiratory therapists, and all allied health around all of that, administrative support.
By all working together and reallocating resources as necessary, they've helped reduce surgery wait lists. Jean-François Trudel was one of the drivers of this new method.
To decrease the amount of times that the patient have to come to the hospital, so try to concentrate everything in one visit as much as we can.
Matthias Johansson says getting all the teams on the same page means these new workways are more family-friendly.
This is not just about a surgical outcome, it's about the patient, it's about the patient's family and everything that goes around it.
At the Children's Hospital, the average wait time is approximately 9 months for surgery. Sandy Pelletier says her wait was 4 months.
Donc ça a quand même été vite. J'étais vraiment surprise là, du téléphone. Là. Il a vraiment comme sonné vite.
After her injuries from a car accident in 2024 weren't healing, Pelletier was put on the list for surgery on her leg in July of this year. She had the surgery on November 25th.
J'étais sûre que ça allait être après les fêtes, même après le mois de janvier.
Pelletier says she thought she would have to wait for the new year. In 2026, Trudel and Johansson both hope this streamlined process can whittle wait times down to 6 months.
Keep access and keep treating our little patients.
Making sure that we have to focus on the patient and putting them first.
Christine Long, CTV News.
There's a growing professional wrestling scene in Montreal. The events are popular, but the men and women who enter the ring still have to work day jobs during the week. Daniel J. Rowe has that story.
Well, yeah, so this is where I work.
During the day, Namita helps vulnerable people find home. But at night, Katrina Creed emerges and enters the ring.
There's something really weird about like being able to do shows on weekends, having these like high adrenaline events, and having honestly the time of your life, and then having to kind of like switch gears and trudge to your like day job.
Creed admits that going from her day job to rings here and overseas is intense.
And just having that dual reality is honestly weird. It's bizarre.
Her job and her passion require very different energies.
Wrestling is very intense as an industry, both physically and mentally, but then also like my regular job, oftentimes we're dealing with people who are in really vulnerable situations.
Yes. Well, from adrenaline and aggression to nurturing and compassion, Creed has one of the more extreme day-to-night transitions. She's not alone.
We've had a lot of interesting day jobs over the year.
Andrew Stott, or the Professor Shane Hawk, is co-director of the International Wrestling Syndicate. He's also a senior content creator for an international company during the day.
Sometimes people will say, how can you be cheered or booed by, hundreds of fans and then go to work on Monday? And it's because it's really not that big of a deal. It's work, right? It's the same thing that we do everywhere else.
It's just going back and forth between two different worlds that require so much of you. And for a while, and even now, it's kind of all I do.
Creed's coworker, Akira Buhena, says it's important to have an outlet.
Especially when you're dealing with a lot of pressures and we're dealing with people that are kind of affected by a lot of systemic issues going on. So it's important to have, especially if you're a frontline worker, it's important to have something to help you kind of alleviate the stress.
Because
if
you don't,
you can lose your mind.
That's partly why a wide printing tech jumps off the ropes.
A lot of trouble. Whoa!
A garbage truck driver gets slammed to the mat. And a social worker suplexes her opponent.
It is the greatest emotional release of my life. I'm so fortunate and grateful to have found something that honestly I feel like just lights my life ablaze in the best of ways. And I just love it. I need it, I think, more than it needs me.
She needs to feel the joy of pain to deal with her stress. Daniel J. Rowe, CTV News.
A brand new photo book revisits music in Montreal during the 1980s and 90s. As a young NDG artist and photographer, Scott McLeod documented the Human Rights Now tour when it came through Montreal and other milestone moments in the city's music history. Sting, Springsteen, Tracy Chapman, among others, are all featured in Human Rights in the Rhythm of Rock. It also includes a section about when McLeod spent an afternoon with Leonard Cohen during the I'm Your Man album era.
So I did the cover shot, the insert shot, and then I had an extra roll of film when we used film back in those days. It was 36 shots. And after a few drinks, I said, Mr. Cohen, would you be interested in just going out in the street? I want to get you moving, walking. He says, let's do it. And he just charged out of there. And 36 seconds, 36 shots were done. And they sat in my archive for 40 years.
You can see those photos and more at Galerie Espace on Saint Laurent Boulevard until Sunday evening, or you can visit mcleod9.com. Well, the Montreal Victoire were in action tonight in Vancouver. Captain Marie-Philippe Poulin opened the scoring midway through the first period. At 2-1 late in the second period, Natalie Mlinkova put the game out of reach. Montreal wins this one 4-2. Next up for the Victoire is a Tuesday night visit to Seattle, then back home on Saturday to play the Toronto Scepters at the Bell Centre. Well, former Montreal Canadian is heading back to the city. Last night, the Habs acquired veteran center Philippe Danault from the Los Angeles Kings in exchange for a 2026 second-round draft pick. The announcement came a little more than an hour before the NHL's holiday roster freeze. The 32-year-old from Victoriaville previously spent 6 seasons with the Canadiens from 2015 to 2021. In the meantime, Pittsburgh Penguins defenseman and Montrealer Chris Letang delivered some Christmas cheer to children at Saint-Justin's on Friday. Letang brought $10,000 worth of toys and supplies. Letang is in town for tonight's game against the Habs at the Bell Center. And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.